Welcome everyone to the Your Little Castle show. It is that time of year where you need some experts in the building that are going to actually help you with restoration because we have hail and storm damage coming through. Is this the time of year we end up with this happening a lot here in the Midwest?
Absolutely. It's storm season. It's official.
It is storm season. It is official. And that is something you want to make sure you have the experts to talk about. So we brought in our experts here. I've got Lauren, Nally, and Jeff. Say it for me. Giacomo. And so these are experts that can help us make this happen. Jeff has been doing this for 30 years. Lauren, 20. You guys have been working together now for 8 years on your company here, J&S Sons Construction, and mainly Metro East over in a 100-mile radius from over where you're at there over in Illinois, right? Sparta,
Illinois.
Illinois.
Small town of Sparta, Illinois.
I got you. Well, that's great. Well, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. As you know, we do have some great support here, and because Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things, and you saw that I had that up there, everybody. Look, check it out. You like nice things in your little castle. So shout out to those guys. And if you're going to have a castle, you might as well make sure that it is fully functional and got all the bells and whistles, everything you need to make it your awesome place to live. And that's why you need JS and Sons Construction, LLC. And that's important. Well, tell me, Lauren, why did you decide to get into this industry? What was it that spurred your interest to do this for 20 years now? I guess you started when you were like 11 or something.
Well, it was definitely a need, to have a good exterior, contractor within our area. We specialize in roofing, siding, windows, doors, everything exterior. But we don't only just do that. We do interior work as well. So we can take on your entire project.
Yeah, that's what I said. When it comes down to a matter of, and we talked about this a little of our pregame prep. We had kind of a little practice run there. We were talking about what we're going to discuss on the show, and I had the tornado that came through here. A lot of people are familiar with it was back in 2013, I believe, and it's been 11 years, and it's off the insurance and all that stuff. But they came through, and Jeff, this is where your expertise comes into. You pick up on, hey, how did they get away with? And they'll do this if they can get it. The insurance companies. I've got all white siding. I'll show you guys my house, but all white siding, and they said, oh, these two sides are damaged, but these two are not. An expert come in later goes, no, the whole thing should have been replaced because it gets worn, gets chalky. And I went over and rubbed it after I did that. Like, get chalk on my hand. Now they're two different. They may look similar, but they're not. No. What do you need to worry about when you're going through this kind of situation in a tornado or a big storm, and get everything taken care of?
Well, like you said, if it's just the siding, some spots will be faded, some sidings will, some discolors. Same way with the roofing, and sometimes they don't want to cover the whole thing, shall we say? But we can work with that, and Lauren is very good with that. She knows how to handle their insurance companies. Like I said before, she's a licensed adjuster, so she gets a little farther than a regular guy can get. As a regular contractor, we're kind of at their mercy with the insurance company. We can make some adjustments, and they'll come forward with that, and they'll take care of that, but they won't go all the way unless you're really good at what you're doing, and that is what Lauren is at. Me, I'm out there. I can see the job. I know how to bid the job. I know how to get all the products put in order. But again, she is the woman with all the paperwork. She knows how to do that. So it's really just a team effort. And we have a lot of good contractors that work with us. So we all kind of just work real good together. And that's kind of part of a good business, is having a good flow, a good team.
Well, kind of what we had talked about prior, which was, you've got the front end where you got to go out to the actual property. Then you got the important back end stuff where the customer's not as involved, but that's where the real nitty gritty gets down to it. And you got to say, well, this is covered. This has got to fix. Here's the cost on these things. Here's where we can replace it. That particular item is no longer in stock. Lauren, how important is all of this stuff?
It's very important to a homeowner, especially when everyone has busy lives. Most people, they have children and jobs, and everyone's very busy. So the last thing that you want to deal with is a storm claim and a stack of paperwork that you have no idea what you're reading. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to simplify that process for you, to walk you through the steps on what you need to do to file the claim, to get it approved, how the work is going to follow. And then I'm looking for things that possibly the insurance company has missed, that they should have covered and they didn't. So I go through the paperwork, and we can readjust that claim and send it back in and try to get a solution to the problem, in front of us.
Yeah, nothing against the insurance companies, but they're in business to be successful and to
Absolutely.
pay the bills. And so there may be a time. That's why I was so frustrated after, because it was like a $5,000 difference. What's it cost to do 2 sides of a house? Maybe more than that. And I'm like, so for the rest of my life now, I've got knowing that. And then I saw other spots. I mean, it was one of those things. If you don't have an expert, and I love that it was my buddy that came through, and he does roofs as a deal. And so, man, I should have called JS and Sons, right? And had some experts come through here. How often are these kinds of things overlooked, Jeff? And why is this so important?
It's just, it's overlooked a lot, really. And I think what's really important is if you're somebody with strong skills. I even still get confused on some of the insurance papers. I'll be reading them. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I am confused as well. Again, I have Lauren to help me with that. So that works out. But, oh, shoot, I'm almost here.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of dealing with this. There's a whole process that goes through this. And how often you're dealing with the insurance guy, you're dealing with the customer. You got to bring everybody together. Lauren helps tie it all together on the back end, right?
Absolutely. So, the biggest thing is just to try to get everybody on the same page and make sure we can get everything worked out to where everybody's happy. I mean, the insurance companies, like I said, sometimes are just a little bit tough. They only want to do so much. But hopefully we can get that figured out for you, and we can get everybody brought together on it. And so...
and that's where the experience that you've got. With 30 years of experience, you've probably seen most of what can go wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
And then combine that with what Lauren can put together. Now, another thing you mentioned that was important, I realized you're a certified inspector. Is that right?
So actually a public adjuster, licensed
Okay.
public adjuster,
All right.
on staff with us. So I think that differentiates us a little bit, from others, because we can go that extra mile to ensure that things get covered for you that should be getting covered, that might not be, the first go around.
Well, explain to me a little bit about what that really brings to the table. When you've got somebody who is licensed, is it a license?
Yep.
they
So
have?
so we carry an Illinois state roofing license. We are bonded. We're fully insured, and then we do have a public adjuster, which is myself.
Okay.
So with that public adjuster's license, you are able to actually go. You essentially work for the customer. So the insurance company and their adjusters, they work for the insurance company.
Right.
I represent the customer.
Okay.
So we're looking to get things covered that you should be getting covered. Everyone pays their premiums for a reason. We pay our premiums every month, and we expect when things get damaged that they are fully covered for what we pay.
Yeah, so the public adjuster, is that what you said?
Yep.
So that's important, because now you've got the person who's actually certified, understands this, and go and say, there's no question. This is what I do. I've taken the test, I've passed the exam, and got the certification to make sure. And you're actually working for obviously you own the company, and now you actually get to partake it to help make sure that customer gets covered properly. I can't imagine how many roofing companies don't have that to offer. Is that true for most people? What would you say?
Many don't.
Okay.
Many don't. I think that it's very important to carry the correct credentials.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that your contractor, you have to have a Illinois state roofing license to roof in Illinois. Okay. You need to make sure that your contractor carries the proper insurance. You also have to be bonded. And then, yes, being a public adjuster is definitely a benefit, because you can really go to bat for the customer.
Right. I'm going to say 90% of companies don't have their own public adjuster. Okay.
Yeah.
That actually work for the company. Right?
Right. That works directly for the company and with the customer. So that is a big thing for us.
Yeah, that's a
that
big
we
thing.
have that. And then,
Well, I can imagine. To me, that's where I'm like, holy cow, the alarms are going off, because how often is somebody, you're just taking everything that the insurance company says otherwise.
Absolutely.
Because they've got their adjuster, and he's all licensed, and he's got all the things, but he's always going to play in favor of who he works for, I would assume, right? So essentially, you've got, it's like going to court with one lawyer to represent one side, and the other person's representing themselves. Is that true? And now you've got a lawyer on both sides to really kind of make that.
Correct. That's exactly.
Per se, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Important. Well, tell me, what is a little bit about the background that led you here? Jeff, tell me, what doing this for 30 years, how did you get into this, and why did you decide to get into this construction industry?
Well, when I was young, like 19, I started out with some friends of mine, and their dad owned the business. And so I got a job with them, and then I just gradually, I spent about 10 years with them, and then I did subcontracting and through a couple companies, one up here in St. Louis, and then back in the Illinois side, but towards Belleville. And then from there, I just kind of graduated to just being my own contractor. And I've done that for, 22 years, and I worked alongside Lauren and Joe for the 8 years as well. We've worked together as a team, but recently we've come together and I'm joined onto their team. So they kind of were part of my team a way back.
I gotcha.
And now I'm part of their team, so it kind of works out nice. We have a lot of history and kind of know each other work, you know. And like I said, I go out and I look at the jobs, I assess the jobs, and if they're insurance work, again, I bring it back into Lauren, and when she takes care of it from there, as far as the paperwork, you know, and figuring it all out. So for me, it's been a passion. Honestly, I love what I do. But now I don't do it with my hands anymore. But so I'm still very particular with the crews that we have. Because like I said, we have crews for all areas, and I do inspections on them. You know, even though it's not, I'm operations manager. I shouldn't be the crew inspector, I guess. But I've always enjoyed it, and I've loved it, and been proud of what I've done. So our goal is to make our company as proud as we can, you know, as we can of everything that we do, all of our projects, to be honest. You know, we want everybody to say it looks really good. We want them to be very pleased, happy. Again, we like to make friends more than customers. I mean, because, well, friends are customers, and friends, you know, pass the word around, and everybody's always super happy that way, you know. So that's my goal anyways. When I sell jobs, I try to make me a friend. I mean, not just a customer.
Well, yeah, so then, Lauren, and Matt, you got into this industry. What brought you into this, and how cool is it to work with an expert like Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. Well, my dad, he actually owned a construction company growing up. So I've kind of seen it as a little girl and, you know, throughout my adult years. But I like the other side of the business. So I deal with all of the paperwork. I enjoy every customer that I deal with. You know, picking out color selections, you know, putting designs together, all of that. That is what I'm really good in. So we combine our strengths. We work really well as a team together. We have some really good people on staff. Quality is huge for us. I want to make sure that our customers have a smooth experience from not just the start, but we want it to the end. We want to make sure that it's an easy process, especially if it's an insurance claim. We'll walk you through all those steps because that can be overwhelming, a big headache for a lot of people. So we want to calm the storm there, okay, essentially. Right. And then we want to make sure that even though once we start the job, we want to make sure that it runs smooth. And then we are going to ensure that the quality is top notch. Anything that has our name on it it's going to be good. So we're working on, you know, making sure that everything is smooth sailing.
Well, that's why I can say there's a lot we can attribute to their success. If you look at the reviews, we're going to show some of the reviews they've got here. A+ credit also, or A+ on the BBB, and you actually have the accredited part is a separate component, but I know a lot of people, they give you that A+ though if you've deserved it, and you guys have earned that, right?
And I think we carry a 4.5, 5-star on Google. Is that
I think you've got at least I've got it up on the wall here, and I'll show that to everybody here in a second, where we've got a ton of reviews too. So people really have highlighted the work you've got. And doing this for 8 years, you're almost to a decade now. You've got a lot of proven. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Right.
We have completed a lot of jobs. Many roofs, many jobs. And yes, we have a pretty big following.
Yeah. I like to take a lot of pride as we're bidding the jobs. Is like there's not too many jobs that I cannot put a price on, because from the time, you know, experience and the knowledge, I just know what a job costs. You know, sometimes there are special products that I'll have to research to get an exact figure.
Okay.
But most of the time I'm on site, what people want to know is an estimate, and I'm there to give it to them. You know, if it's an insurance thing, though, I say we bring it back to the office, because we talk to the homeowner and kind of go over what they're thinking, what if they see more than the insurance company sees, so that way we can try to again do our own adjustment and, you know, get the insurance to come around, hopefully.
Yeah, well, with all those many years of experience and the two of you together, I can't imagine there's anything you guys can't handle. But how often do you see this? You've got to get into specialty products. I see you've got your own Owens Corning shirts on. What do you guys prefer as a matter of materials? Who do you use most often, and why do you choose the guys that you do?
So for shingles, we do use Owens Corning. We are a preferred contractor with them.
Okay.
So you do, you know, there's perks to being a preferred contractor with Owens Corning. Owens Corning, they're known for their Sure-Nail strip. So it gives you some extra adhesive when you're laying down your roof. So high winds come in again, less likely to blow back off because of that Sure-Nail strip.
Okay. So yeah, using the best materials out there, having the years of experience, I feel very comfortable. I mean, this is why we like to recommend, if we're going to recommend anybody, people that have done a good job, that are known, have the reputation like you guys have. So keep up the good work. Is there a passion or a hobby that ties into this that really helped you to become the experts that you guys have become? I mean, I know you like the outdoors a little bit.
Yes.
And does that tie in? Is it just a matter of that's your release? What do you do for fun around St. Louis area, Metro East?
I mean, anything outdoors is great. I enjoy the water a lot, so boating, fishing, anything with water, I'm there.
Jeff, you too?
I like nature, and of course, we like to eat out a lot, so that's fun. Dining, dining is that's kind of more of a thing that I probably do more than anything anymore. I used to like to fish a lot, but I don't really get to that anymore either. I just work so much. You're always, it's always.
You do live and breathe this business
Yes.
when you're in it, especially when it's storm season, because you hear thunder, you see lightning, it could turn pretty bad, and then you're going to be very busy the following day.
Well, part of what we talked a little bit about in the pregame prep was that you guys work all the time, right? There's no real
Absolutely.
break time. You're working sometimes
Absolutely.
20 hours a day because you've got issues, clients. Like you said, when a storm comes through, now you've got some big stuff to handle, and you've got clients, their roof may be torn off, and do you come over and throw on a tarp? I mean, how often do you give those
we
kind of
do
emergency
offer emergency tarping services.
Okay.
So you call us. We actually have a direct extension for emergency tarping services that we will send, a staff member out to ensure that we secure the roof, make sure the water stops coming in. Because sometimes you have really high winds or tornadic stuff that comes through that can rip a section of the roof off, and that is where we come in to assist you right off the bat.
Important stuff here, everybody. If there's an emergency, they can help you with that as well.
Absolutely.
Tornadic, that's but that's tornadoes, right?
Yes.
And they're talking about that tomorrow, actually. I saw that
another
this
round of
morning.
bad storms. So.
Oh,
Yes.
well, that's if you don't like the weather in St. Louis, just wait a little bit; it'll change, right?
That's
And
right.
so we're looking for. So be
Absolutely.
wary tomorrow. You're saying, and there are going to be some potential.
Well, it's potential.
potential.
It's potential tomorrow.
You never know what it's going to do, though,
I think it was more in southern our area, though. I think the tornadic stuff was possible, and hail.
Okay.
This
Well,
morning.
something to get a hold of these guys. JS and Sons Construction. JS and Sons Construction.com. I love that phone number you've got there. 888-ILROOF2.
Yes.
And that's easy to figure out on the keypad.
Easy to remember.
And you can dial up and get it, and they'll talk to you, Lauren. Is that?
Yes,
gonna be-
they
Definitely.
will get a hold of our office, and we're quick to respond. We're quick to get people scheduled, and we're also quick to turn over estimates.
Estimate. So, how long does that estimate process take normally, and what's the turnaround to get the roof done these days?
Typically, estimate turnaround is going to be within 48 to 72 hours, sometimes sooner than that. And most of the roofs we are done in one day. If it's a larger project, it might be more than 1 day, 2 or 3 days. It just depends on, how big of a project. But a standard, roof will take 1 day. Now, if there's other items that they need done, such as siding, windows, doors, interior renovations, those can take a little bit longer, but we always keep our customer updated on the process, how long it's going to take, what to expect, so they're on the same page that we are. We want everyone to be on the same page.
Right, and that's where Jeff is out there running the crew, the operations side of this, to make sure that everything's coordinated on the back end and keeping people happy. How often do you find there is some extra work that needs to be done? Because you don't want mold coming in because there was an interior
Correct.
problem, right?
Yes, it is often. And so, like I said earlier, we just, in the pre-prep, is what we do is we involve the homeowner, always involve the homeowner. If we find issues, we want to bring them to their attention. Make sure that they're aware of it. It's going to be a change order, a little bit of an upcharge, or maybe a lot. Depends on how bad the situation is. A lot of times we'll find with the roofing where we got bad decking, where it's gotten the water has gotten into the decking, and we have to get that replaced. But no matter what it may be, again, we'll find ways to get it all figured out. That's what we do.
With many years of experience that you bring to the table, I think that makes it a lot of people feel very comfortable with that. And that explains why you have so many good reviews here. So here it is, everybody. I'm going to put this on the wall.
Communication, again, is a key thing, So
Yes, it is. Communication makes everything smooth.
Communication, the key, everybody. We talk about that all the time because that is that's what I went to grad school for, right? Masters in Media Communication.
Well,
but
let's say if we didn't communicate and we just made repairs, And we can take pictures, and of course we can charge you for those. But if you're aware of that, and you've made that decision yourself or become part of that decision of the repairs, boy, it's a lot smoother. Absolutely. You're not disappointed. You're like, hey, I know it needs done. You know what I'm saying? That's so for us, again, what is the word? Communications. Because of that, there you go. So,
the word for the day here, communication. Like I said, I'm a big proponent for that because if you find out what is at the root of almost any problem, it almost always comes down to a matter of communication, right? How often is there just an item is out of stock, or there's something that you're missing that it just was on order but didn't show up, and somebody said, what's going on here? And if you don't tell them, it wasn't a real issue. If they'd just been known the issue was there,
then been no issue. Been no issue if you'd have knew. I mean, if you come home and you say your roof was $15,000 and you come home and now it's 18, what? You know, that's the look on your face.
That
happens. Know? So it happens all the time, actually.
Okay.
I mean, not with us, but I know I've heard and I hear horror stories, so I call them. I hear that a lot, where people are like, well, it was upcharged this much. You know, but in the end, they realized they had something that was needed fixed. It's just the fact that they wasn't involved in it, and so that kind of makes it go down in the end hard to swallow, shall we say.
Right.
So again, I'm making friends, so I make sure they know, you know, because again, friends are good customers. So
take note there, everybody. And they mentioned that a couple times, but I say take note because again, something that kind of stood out here. You make friends out of your clients. You have good relationships, and that's a lot to do with communication, but also with making sure that this job gets done, and has to do with the experience you guys bring to the table.
Absolutely.
Between you, 50 years of experience. I mean, that's kind of crazy if you think about it. That's a half a century that you guys bring to the table to make sure that everyone gets taken care of. Is that true? All right.
That's very true.
And that is shown by great evidence here. And I'll put this back up on the wall. Take a look here on the TV wall for us on to Jeff's right there. And that is, look at these reviews, everybody. When you really get down to it, you must judge somebody by what other people are saying. So a 4.5, 46 reviews. I'm going to grab one right. So far, so good. Fast response time and estimate. They repaired our metal roof and was damaged by a spring storm. Professional representatives. Everything looks good. That's from Marsha Hall. And I'm just going to scroll down here, randomly picking. But I don't have to go far. They're all 5s, it looks like. J.S. & Sons replaced my roof last year. Everything about the experience was fantastic. I had back this fall to repair the storm damage, and everything is great. Neither job was an insurance claim, but they were very competitive and friendly, and made a great pricing for them to make sure that was taken care of.
And we also deal with retail customers too. We are not just looking for, storm work. We're not storm chasers. We are a full service construction company that can take on all damage that's on the scope of an insurance claim. But say you just have an older roof that needs replaced, we are happy to provide you an estimate.
Absolutely.
Very important, and to know. And I love the fact that you are you're the in-house. I'll make sure I say that correctly. But as having the certified appraiser to make sure, the adjuster, right?
Yes, adjuster, a licensed public adjuster.
A licensed public adjuster, because take note of that. I'm gonna make sure that you guys got that. I'm gonna even put the hat on for that one, because if you've got the licensed public adjuster, somebody that's certified for that, that's a huge difference. Because how often do people have a claim and they're going, I don't know what this should have cost. That's not what they deal with. They're trusting everything over to the insurance company, and you know who they're going to favor.
Right, and you can't fight with their adjuster unless you have your own adjuster.
Right.
Like we mentioned earlier, it's like going to court. You got to have your lawyer against their lawyer. That's how it works.
Great point. How do you end up throwing anything to argue with them? You're not an expert. You don't have how are you going to go get an adjuster? Right. You're going to find an independent adjuster that's going to come represent you?
Right.
You've got one in-house that works with you guys.
Right, and
Absolutely.
my public adjusting services are free to our customers. So as a licensed public adjuster, I do offer those free as long as J.S. & Sons Construction is who's doing your job.
You're doing the work. That includes. So take advantage of that important feature that these guys bring to the table, because that's just so important when it comes down to it, because it's a matter of getting this done. How do you argue with somebody and you don't have somebody who's licensed to say, I know how this qualifies, I know what the components cost, here's the proven. And you mentioned what was the software you use again? Is the same thing?
So it's the same. It's Xactimate, which is similar to what insurance adjusters use.
Yeah.
There are different programs that they can use, but most of them run on the same software that we do for estimating.
So that's key too, because then you can also coincide with the pricing adjustment.
Apples to apples.
Apples to apples. There you go. Another big important note there. I'm getting out my pencil a lot here, everybody. All right, so we're finishing up our first show here, everybody. We're going to have 2 shows. They've got enough information here and great value to help us understand the industry a little bit. We're going to do a second half hour. So we're finishing up the first half hour here. We got about 3 minutes left here. But that second half, I've got a lot of what are the big mistakes that people make? What are some of the issues they run into that they don't anticipate? And how do you deal with those? And we got a certified public adjuster in the building today, and then operations manager with Jeff, who's done this for 30 years. So great resources we have in studio here for everybody. Tell me then, as we finish up this segment, what is something that you believe really sets you apart? And we might have hit it right there with having that certified public adjuster. But help people understand, is that the most valuable thing?
I think along with being having a public adjuster's license, I think that, like we said before, you have to have an Illinois state roofing license. You need to be licensed, bonded, fully insured. These are all credentials that you want to ensure the contractor you are going with for your repairs on your home has. Otherwise, it can become a liability to you, the homeowner, which is something that you don't want to deal with.
And a lot of times we come across that with our costs actually versus others. But you know what? We're offering a full package. You're secure with us. And some people are uncomfortable with putting their money out there in the beginning, because bad things happen. But that's what the bond is for. I explain that to everybody. We have a $25,000 bond. So if you give us $10,000, if we was even to run off with it, you just file your claim with the state and you'll get your $10,000. You know what I mean? It's kind of a security thing. I like to tell people it's an insurance for the consumer. And we have insurance, but it's their insurance for their money.
Yeah, I hadn't heard too many people bring that up before, but how often do roofing companies not have that bond available? Often.
Where you hear the horror stories where contractors have run off with a down payment, never did the job. And it makes a lot of people leery, especially in a retail situation. Wow. When you're talking a larger project, it's an investment. Your home is an investment, and when you're fixing it, it's an investment. So you want to ensure that the contractor you select has the proper credentials, so that you don't have to worry about something like that happening.
And we have an office, we have a
one
warehouse space, office space. We're not going nowhere. We're set here. All we're doing is moving forward if possible. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to expand a little bit, so we got some more crews that we can bring on. And like Lauren said earlier, we're not just storm specialists. We always do retail sales as well. But it's that time of the year, so we're kind of getting that out there a little bit, so let people know, if you've got some storm damage coming, just give us a holler, and we'd love to at leeds have the opportunity to try to work with them.
Well, I appreciate that. And I want to show off here real quickly as we finish up. Go to the website, jsonsconstruction.com/gallery. I'm going to put this on the wall for everybody to see, but they've got a ton of great work here. If you want to see some of their workmanship, professional quality, and what it takes, as you can see, and there's that state of Illinois. You guys have lots to show off there that people can really dig into. So stay tuned for more, everybody, as we get into our second half of the show, and we want to help you understand you need to deal with the pros. And we've got them here. J.S. & Sons Construction. Giddy up. Cool.
All right.
Fair enough.